So this article has a little four-letter word in it that starts with an R that YouTube doesn't like. So I'm just going to say assault, and you can fill in the blank. Judge labels assault of a Melbourne intruder cruel and barbaric. The assault of a man who broke into a Melbourne home has been described by a judge as cruel and barbaric. The victim, Shane Cox, had broken into a unit in Melton in Melbourne's West in March of 2021, armed with a knife and wearing a mask. He had asked for money and drugs and was allegedly linked to others who had gone to the house to stand over a resident. Cox, 36, was overpowered by Clay Holland, who was a guest at the home. Holland had asked him to leave and called police, but Mr. Cox was allegedly unwilling to comply. Cox was beaten with a baseball bat and was incapacitated on the floor, where Holland then assaulted him. Justice Christopher Beale described the incident as degrading and humiliating during a pre-sentence hearing on Tuesday. Cox died at the scene. A jury convicted Holland of one charge of assault, but he was not found guilty of manslaughter. Alex Patton, for Holland, said he couldn't sensibly take issue with that description, but suggested a distinction should be drawn between someone who sets out to commit a assault and one that was entirely responsive to the circumstances. He said the judge had to consider Holland's cognitive abilities, intellectual disabilities, and his compromised mental health, which led to longstanding issues with irritability and impulsivity. But Justice Beale doubled down. Words like cruel and barbaric are apt, he said in the Supreme Court. Patton argued the crime was at the lower end of the spectrum and said Holland had done everything he was able to at the time to resolve the issue of Mr. Cox being in the home, including calling the police and asking Mr. Cox to leave. It was in the context of compromised reasoning and problem-solving skills that his client had lashed out, he said. The court heard Holland had expressed some sympathy for what Mr. Cox went through and what his family had been put through, but Justice Beale noticed there was no remorse. Cox's sister and partner both described losing a man who had been their protector. Holland will be sentenced at a later date. I mean, this story is so weird because, obviously, this guy breaks in with a knife, maybe going to do something horrible, but he gets beaten with a baseball bat, and then this guy, does what he does to him to death.
Yeah.
Boy, oh boy.
It's just two crazy people ran into each other. It feels like one was maybe a little crazier than the other.
Yeah, it does sound like maybe this guy had developmental disabilities or something. They just say mental problems. They don't really go into everything, but good lordy, I guess crime really doesn't pay.
Yeah. I mean, it's quite a leap to go from we told him to leave, so we to death. That's, I don't know. You can't really make that argument either. So it just sounds like two criminals ran into each other. I'm glad he got caught.
I remember something my parents always told me as a kid, and now a part of me is that they used to say that if you shoot or kill somebody in your home, you're within the bounds of the law. If it's an intruder, because they actually entered your home.
Yeah. And
I don't know if that's true. I mean, obviously this case is a little bit more disturbing, but if he would have just stopped at beating him to death with the baseball bat, or if he would have just shot him, would he be in the clear?
Right.
Would it just be a case of self-defense? Well, this guy broke into my house with a knife, self-defense, he's dead. That's probably true.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that's way more cut and dry. You could at least make the defense argument, but I mean, there's no defense for this. I mean, it could be a psychological defense.
Right. I mean, that's probably what they're going to go for ultimately when they go to sentence him or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, that's, I don't know. That's rough.
But yeah, what a crazy headline.
That is nuts. I mean, that guy was going to bang somebody at some point. He was going to do something like that. don't know if it's gonna be legal.
if he had that violence like in him, yeah, you imagine at some point he was probably going to do it to somebody.
Yeah.
So maybe in that way, this is like the best circumstance for it to happen. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you hate to put it this way, but at least a criminal dealt with another criminal.
I guess so.
Yeah.
But now this guy's going to go to prison, and who knows, he might do it even more.
Yeah, that's true too. It's no holes barred there.
No holes barred.